All right, Shalom. I just wanted to just give some observations that I've made recently, that indicate, that this place, America, aka Mystery Babylon the Great, she's in her decline. First of all, I want to start off with mentioning, over in Philadelphia, I've been watching some videos lately about this place called Kensington, right? Kensington, Philadelphia. You can look these videos up on YouTube. It's not hard to find at all. You got people out there, bent over sideways like zombies. You got people, jumping up the walls. You got people out there, injecting themselves with, trank and, all types of, meth and shit. It's truly astonishing what's taking place over there. When you walk there, well, I wouldn't recommend walking there, but if you were to, you'd feel like you're in a third world country. I've watched multiple videos where bloggers go to this street in America, and literally in every video you hear gunshots in the distance. Like, I mean, literally every video I've watched, at some point you hear gunshots in the distance. You gotta walk cautiously because everywhere you go, there's needles on the floor. Right? You don't know what the hell is in them. You got people out there using this new drug, Trink, right? Basically like a mixture of drugs and horse tranquilizer fluid. To put it into them, and they're standing sideways like zombies for a half an hour. It's shocking what's going on out here, man. And it demonstrates this place is in a herd decay. It can't be denied at this point. The only way a person could deny that this is happening is either they're extremely wealthy or born into um, a wealthy family, right? Or they live in another country, so they're not over here to see what's going on. But if you're actually living here, right, a day-to-day person, right, average 9 to 5 worker, you can't deny that this place, she's on her way out. You can't deny that, man. This place is terrible. You got I can't even mention the amount of buildings that I've passed, in the nearest city that are having their doors shut. Right, they're either in the process of closing down or the building itself is out for rent. Right, for retail space. It shows that this place is on her decline. And you can't deny that, right? Anybody that denies that is just a hypocrite and just not living in real life. If you deny what's taking place. We really know what's happening. Really the Lord's making his move, right? The Lord Yahweh, he's making his presence known in the world right now. That's why all these things are happening. That's why the Bible says, 2nd Ezra chapter 9, verse 1 and 2, when there will be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then you'll understand that this is the same time where the highest will begin to visit the world that he has created. Right, so God, who people ignorantly call God, which is really named Yahweh, he's making his presence known here on the earth right now. That's why you have all these things happening on the world stage. You got these wars kicking off, especially over in Israel, right? And then you got Ukraine as well. And then there's skirmishes happening all over the world. You got, say for instance, you got North Korea and South Korea, they're shooting shells at each other, right? They're pissed off at one another. You got over in Haiti, there's, you know, gangs that are clashing, right? The clash of gangs, inside joke. Right, you got the clash of gangs taking place over in Haiti right now for the war for the right to rule over the country. Again, there's so many conflicts happening in the world, you can't even mention them all. Like one statement I've said before, I've heard somebody, a wise man, say on a video that, one of these preppers, forget who it was exactly, but he said, you got to be damn near unemployed in order to keep up with the world events. And he's right. It's like, shit, you got to be unemployed, sitting on your ass all day in your home, watching the news all day, with looking at articles just to keep up with the events of that current day, not even to mention yesterday. That's what you basically got to do. It's happening so quick that, you have to be damn near unemployed in order to keep up with what's happening in this world, man. And that's what Christ said. Christ said, you got to be watching, right? Blessed are those that have eyes to see and ears, those that have ears to hear. That's what Christ said, man. You got to be currently watching what's happening in the world. You can't be sitting around all day, you know, um, watching movies and shit, playing games all day. While those things can be done in moderation, of course, you got to have your eyes on what's taking place in the world, man. You got to be, studious as well. You got to take time, put into reading. You got to take time into, um, watching the news, keeping up with world events. You got to learn some history as to why some of these events are actually unfolding how they are right now. All these factors have to be taken into consideration. And certainly right now, living in 2024, we have it worse right now than people had it in the 1930s, right? Dealing with the Great Depression. We have it worse than those people did back then. Now, somebody will say that. Somebody will hear me say that and they'll be like, well, wait, what do you mean that they had it worse back then compared to us? Well, I'll answer that. How can I say we had it worse than them? Well, first of all, back then, people were more reliant on themselves, right? People actually knew how to cook back then. People actually had family that they, cared about. And, a lot of households back then had multiple generations living under the same roof back then. That's not the same today. Why it is true that now there's a trend taking place where, young people in their, early 20s are now moving back with mom and dad because of, how bad the economy is. They can't afford to live in an apartment by themselves or whatever. So now people are moving back, right? Families are now moving back together. But back then it was just a tradition to have the generations under one roof. That's what happened back in the 30s. So people back then, even though the economy was bad and whatnot, they had it better than we did today, right? They had it better because they relied more on one another back then. They knew how to take care of themselves. People knew how to cook. Today people are just, want to get that microwave meal, right? Or that fast food. That's what the average simp out here wants. You got women out here in their 20s that don't even know how to cook mac and cheese on the stove. It's astonishing what's taking place. You got stories coming out where people, trying to cook basic shit, they burn their own house down. Over here in America, it happens. It happens time to time. It's shocking. But yeah, people in the 30s, they had it better than we have it today, man. We're only in the beginning, right? This is all downhill from here. This is all downhill from here. There is no bouncing back. This place, and not only the United States, we're taking all the countries in the world in consideration. It's all on a downward spiral. There is no coming back from this, right? Everything is at its breaking point right now. People can barely live. I mean, it's astonishing what's taking place right now, man. Like, say for instance, I watched a video that somebody put up. I want to say like 9 months ago. They were showing what you can get in Russia for like 20 rubles, or basically whatever the ruble amount, it was equal to $20 in U.S. currency, right? So, however it was valued, maybe 100 rubles, 50 rubles, it was equal to $20 in U.S. currency. That's the way I'll say it. And what was astonishing to me is they were able to go in there. They could get bread, they could get milk, they could get a box of cereal, they can get a bottle of alcohol, you get a carton of eggs, they can get, trash bags, they can get, dish detergent, a bottle of hand sanitizer, and maybe one or two other things for $20. Over here in the United States, you can't even get half the shit. And it was funny, I put up a comment on the video and I said, hey man, over here in the US, you could only get like, 15 to 20% of those goods max. And I believe I got like 400 or 500 likes on that comment, because people were agreeing with me. But again, think about that, right? If my statement wasn't true, why the hell would I got 400 or 500 likes on the comment? So people were agreeing that, yeah, over here in America, you can only get like, 15 to 20% of those same goods that you can get in Russia for $20 in rubles, compared to what you can get in the United States for $20 in U.S. currency. So it shows how bad, the economy is over here, man. It shows how, bad the average person is doing over here. What the government doesn't tell you is it's all going to get worse, right? It's all on a downward spiral. What the government's telling the people is, like, remember how 2 years ago they were like, this is all transitory, right? It's going to get better very soon. It's all going to get better, just another month or two. Inflation, it's just a limited time. Everything's going to get better. And here we are years later, and it's not fine. It's gotten worse. And what are the government doing? Oh, just everybody remain calm. We're taking care of everything. And then the gullible masses are like, oh, okay, U.S. government, it's for the people and by the people. Nothing to see here. They wouldn't lie to us. Oh, really? They wouldn't lie to you? So you mean to tell me that you trust the same organization that lied to us about going to the moon in the 60s? They lied about going to the moon in the 60s, but yet they're not going to lie to you about how the economy is doing. I mean, it's like, seriously, this is how people think? It's astonishing. It's truly astonishing. But, this is what's happening out here. So this place, man, she's on her way out, man. Like, say, for instance, I was walking through downtown a couple days back. And, there's homeless people everywhere, man. I mean, shit, it was funny because somebody thought I was a homeless person, too. I stopped and talked to one of these guys. He saw me walking with sparkling water. He was like, oh, is that beer, man? Where can I get that? It was, I was talking to the guy for a couple minutes. He was like, hey, man, if you go up the street, there's a church, up the road giving out hot meals, and free clothing and shit. It was like, oh, damn, I'll check that out. So they were like, they were thinking that I was also among them as the homeless. And really, truthfully, to be honest with you, I tend to make myself look like that on purpose. Because if you know anything about prepping, there's something called being a gray man. If you've never heard of the term gray man, what it basically means is you want to blend in with the crowd, right? You don't want to stand out. Like, say, for instance, right? None of those people there they would never guess in a million years that, me, the guy sitting there in a plain t-shirt and, plain pants, with a couple holes in them, nobody would ever expect that I have, months worth of food stocked away at the house. Nobody would ever expect that. Why? Because I'm a gray man, right? I fit in with everybody. If you look at me, that you don't see nothing special when I'm blending in with the crowd. Now, if you were to question me when it comes to knowledge, I'll blow your socks off, right? I'm Challenger deep. Right? Hey, look, all those cats there are what you call shot glass deep. But ETT is what you call Challenger deep. So if they challenge me when it comes to ideology and, knowledge, I'll cut their ass 6 ways deep, right? Cut their ass 6 ways a Sunday. When it comes to physical appearance, I blend in with the crowd, right? So you wouldn't expect me to be something special because I'm deliberately on purpose blending in with everybody so I don't get noticed, so I don't stick out like a sore thumb. Like, say, for instance, man, you'll have people out there that will walk around, in full military gear, and whatnot, right? Full, camo, and they'll draw attention to themselves. The people will be curious, like, why is that person dressed like that? They must be part of the military or some type of militia group or whatever. So they draw attention to themselves by dressing like that. But yet, meanwhile, I'm sitting here, why I might have all the things that other person has, they're sticking out, whereas I am blending in with everybody because I look just like everybody else. That's just called being smart, right? Situational awareness. That's just a smart thing to have. But as the saying goes, common sense isn't so common these days. And it's true, right? People out here, they can't use their brain to think for themselves. Like, say, for instance, let me give you an example. So here it is. The U.S. government, they won't allow me to apply for disability when I ask for, like, say, $400 or $500 a month. I'm not allowed to get that. But yet you got people out here living on, $4,000 or $5,000 a month in disability checks. So they're allowed to get way higher than what I'm asking for. And nothing to see there about that, right? They got nothing wrong with them, but here it is, me who has some, situations and some difficulties. I'm not allowed to get any aid though. But yet, the funny part is, they have no problem with sending over hundreds of billions of dollars in military aid and money to Ukraine, which is not even a member of NATO. Right? It's a foreign war that has nothing to do with the United States. But they have no problem sending hundreds of billions of your taxpayer dollars. Remember that, it's your taxpayer dollars. It's not what the government's printing up and sending to them. No, it's your money. It's coming out of your bank account. It's coming out of your wallet. Remember that. Remember, the government is stealing from you. They are liars and thugs and thieves and the armed gang and totalitarian. The U.S. government is absolutely a totalitarian government. I'll give you an example. The U.S. government has more power over the people than King George could have ever wished to have over the 13 colonies back when the United States, went to war with Britain, right, and won their independence. When King George had control over the colonies, he could never dream of having this much power over them compared to what it is now today. So yeah, absolutely America is a totalitarian government. You obey what they tell you or they hurt you. And of course, to be fair, I'm not just saying that about America. Every government in the world is corrupt and totalitarian. You obey us or we'll send groups of armed men to steal money from you or to put you in cages. Is that not what government does? Yes. Is that not what an armed gang would do to somebody that owes them something? Yes. So they're the same. Even though they call themselves son, they're identical. Like say for instance, if somebody calls an orange an apple, that doesn't change the fact that it's still an orange just because they call it an apple. It's the same thing with government. They're still a corrupt gang. Just because they call themselves government and for the people and by the people, that doesn't mean they actually are. Seriously, look up something called smoke and mirrors. Right? It's all smoke and mirrors, and is what this is. Right? It's a delusion that the people have that the government is for them and for their own personal benefit. But it's just a illusion. It's just not true. Right? It's not factually true. It's just something people believe because they're gullible and ignorant. But anyway, I don't want to make the video too long. But I just wanted to comment on, a few of the observations that I recently made, that indicate, man, that, we're definitely, in the last stage, and people that just can't see that, they just don't know what's going on, right? They're either, willingly being ignorant on purpose because they don't like the idea that, that everything's going to shit, or they're just being willfully ignorant. It's no other option. It's either you're just pretending that you don't see what's happening, or you're just ignorant and don't know what the hell's going on. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. For anybody that says anything different, that person is just, delusional and just doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. You got dummies out here, going around on YouTube talking about, well, we're living in heaven right now, right? These full preterist dummies, right? I believe that we're in heaven right now and, all the prophecies are fulfilled. We're living in Jesus Christ's kingdom on earth right now. How retarded can you be living in Jesus Christ's kingdom? Oh, wait, let me ask you a question. It's like, so if Jesus is ruling over all nations, because they say that all nations are obedient to Christ right now, right? That's like the doctrine. So why the hell are all these countries promoting things that go against what Jesus taught? And of course they have no idea. All they know is, well, next question. Because they don't want to acknowledge that they're clearly wrong with what they're saying. But that's a whole different video, so I won't go off onto that topic. But anyway, I'm going to say shalom.